Alright folks, man, welcome back to Classics of Cinematics, and we're joined as always with my co-host. We got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo.
Yeah folks, and today is going to be a special episode once again, and we're going to be talking about some of the best films that are based on true stories, you know. And we each picked 3 of these, so I'm going to set it off with the film Malcolm X, which came out in 1992. It's a Spike Lee joint, and it stars Denzel Washington, and it's about the life of Malcolm X, and you know, his life. And I think what's amazing about this is actually based on the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. So there comes the based on true events angle right there, you know, and it does a pretty good job, man. I think with this film, we're mostly starting with a kind of in his young 20s, Malcolm X, and we see him go from just a street criminal, you know what I'm saying, to prison, you know, which is kind of an interesting arc. And while he's in prison, he discovers Islam and the Nation of Islam, and he joins up with them, which is really cool, man. I love how we get this letter exchange being depicted with him and, you know, some of the leadership over there. So as soon as he gets out of prison, he joins with them, and he's pretty successful at it, man. He's one of their best ambassadors, one of their best speakers. And I think it's also interesting that we see depicted in this clash with him and the leadership as he just gets a broader knowledge of the world and world events, and starts to thinking that you know, Nation of Islam should make a different approach to their you know, to their work and stuff like that, which a lot of the elders think is out of the line. They think he's you know, stepping over his rank. They think he's becoming bigger than the religion himself, you know, like this. And they turn on him, man. And essentially, you know, there's this controversial plot that this notion that the Nation of Islam actually had him killed. You know what I'm saying? At the behest of their leadership, man. You know, you can look into it and come to your own conclusions, you know, about it. But I still think overall, this is one of the best films that is based on true events, expertly told by Spike Lee, man. Yeah. Some of his best work, some of Denzel's best acting, and everyone involved did a top-notch job. Even Ernest Dickerson, great job, you know, behind the camera as a cinematographer. Just a great accomplishment overall, man, you know?
Definitely. So, you know, one thing I'm going to say before I get into my film is I love films that are based on true stories. I love the disclaimers. They always come with some kind of cool message at the beginning or the end, or some kind of quotable, you know. So I love those. So I'm gonna start mine off with Fargo. 1996 is Fargo, directed by the Coen brothers. Don't you know? And this one starts off with like this disclaimer is so good. I had to write this down. It says, "This is a true story. The events depicted in this film took place in Minnesota in 1987. At the request of the survivors, the names have been changed. Out of respect for the dead, the rest is told exactly as it occurred." If that is not a way to grab the viewer by the collar and sit you down and say you were about to go on a ride, I don't know what else is. You know what I mean? And you know what's really cool is that this movie is like, it's 4 sub stories that are all mushed together into one cohesive plot, where we have, you know, my man who's trying to get his wife kidnapped because he wants some ransom money to do some, you know, of his own personal business. And then we follow the kidnappers as they're trying to navigate through this like botched kidnapping. Then you got the sheriff who's on the trail of the kidnappers because they keep killing people everywhere they go, which, you know, is leading them to keep requesting for more money from the guy who can't get the money for the ransom for the wife in the first place. And then you just got all the town folk that are just, you know, doing whatever it is people do in Fargo, North Dakota, which one thing I'll say about this movie is it makes everybody seem like they're very nice. They're very pleasant. They talk very nice. But these people,
that Midwest charm.
These people in this film, minus the cop and her husband, they are some grimy people. And this film really emphasizes that griminess, that grittiness, and that will to do anything to achieve their goals. You know, I mean, what kind of scumbag hires people to kidnap his own wife to hold her for ransom? I mean, that is terrible to do. And then you know, the way this film is just shot and the way that it just plays, it has a good flow, and, you know, it's entertaining on almost every level for me. And What's really cool about this too is apparently a lot of things have happened in this particular area of North Dakota, because this movie set the trend and started the movement for, I think, 6 seasons worth of a very successful TV show, all being some different crime. Each season is a different crime of something that has taken place in this area. And the only other thing about it is there is now currently a lot of debates on the validity of this film. Like, is it really inspired by true events? Is it really based on a true story? Did these things really happen? Fact of the matter is this: when you watch this, you never lose sight of the fact that you're watching a movie. If you want to do extensive research and see if these events really happen, by all means. But this is still a movie, and the way that it was shot, the way it's delivered, and with that opening target line, it's entertaining enough for me, fake or not. So that's where I'm at with it. Fargo, check that shit out.
All right, that's what's up, man. So my next one is gonna be Escape from Alcatraz. And this is gonna be the 1979 film starring Clint Eastwood and directed by Don Siegel. And this is definitely based on a true story. If anyone knows, Alcatraz is once built as the prison there is no escape from. It's on an island in San Francisco Bay, surrounded by cold waters, shark infested, and just a long way from shore, man. Like I think, if you survive that stuff, you still got probably an hour swim to shore, and most people ain't built like that. But this film chronicles a true story of a famous escape. The only escape that I think that's on record, there might have been another one where the inmates actually got out of there, and prisons. It's pretty cool, man. So we got our inmate Frank Morris, played by Eastwood, and he gets in this prison. He's got a life sentence, and after a while being in there and seeing the treatment from the warden and how it's designed to break inmates, I think there's a cool segment in there where one of the inmates is actually about to get out, and he basically he's been in there so long he don't know anything on the outside, and he takes himself out, which is crazy. And he's like, bro, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I don't want to end up like that. My man went through his whole sentence, got his freedom, couldn't take it. The idea of going outside into a world that he doesn't know anymore made him take himself out. So he conspires with 2 of his other inmates who are gung-ho about it. And what I like about this is we get the elaborate real life stuff. You can look this stuff up of what happened, man. These guys went so far as to make these paper mache forms of their heads and painted them flesh colored so it would appear when the guards were coming through doing their checks that they were laying in their beds. It looked like the actual head was there. And and they I forgot exactly how they penetrated the walls. I think they might have had a dig or something going through, but regardless, this was enough to distract the guards overnight, and they got out. So what happened to them, we don't know. That's the interesting thing, because it's assumed that they had a raft that they had built, for themselves, and left somewhere out in the grounds or took out with them to attempt to basically kick their feet and make it to shore. But we don't know if they actually did it, and that's a crazy thing where these real life things come into play. I think there might have been thoughts that maybe one of them actually made it to shore and went on to live out his life and died old man out in the free world. But it's also thought that they perished at sea, but we don't really know for sure. And I think that's the allure of this story and this film, to this day. And like I said, just from the aspect of a kind of a caper type film, it's cool to see the thought go to the plan, go to putting the plan in motion, and then to pulling off the plan that this film presents for us, man. I think it's cool. I think they actually is going to be a remake of this that was announced recently with more current stars. So I'm curious to see how that comes out. But yeah, Escape from Alcatraz, 1979, man.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, I'm going to follow that up with a little bit of something scary. We're going to talk about 1979's Amtyville Horror, directed by Stuart Rosenberg. And this is based off of the 1977 novel of the same name written by Jane Anson. And what's wild about this is it starts off, and it was on November 13th, 1974, at this home in Long Island, New York. A man murders his wife and 4 children, and then he kills himself. And, you know, we moved now to 1979, and the Lutz family, a struggling family financially, was able to buy this home because it was affordable. And as they're moving into the home, about a month after they move in, they start noticing these paranormal events taking place, some big, some small. And what starts to happen is, you know, as the rest of the family members are trying to just kind of keep it upbeat and positive, the dad is actually spiraling and descending into madness. This film reminds me a lot of The Shining in many ways. What's his name? I want to say it was James Brolin, who plays the father. He strikes he's a striking resemblance to Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, as he starts to go crazy. And this film just progressively gets more and more paranormally demonic. You know, I mean, you got this house, like, I mean, when the priest comes in to bless the home, then he gets attacked by a bunch of flies. When the kid's messing with the sister, the window smashes down on his hand. The nun comes in and almost faints as soon as she walks through the door. I mean, there's just all of these things that are taking place. And what makes it work so well is because they gave the house a personality. When you look at this house, it looks like it has a face, where the windows are the eyes, and you know, it looks like it has life for all intents and purposes. And that's what then makes this really creepy, not just as a movie, but the fact that this story does have, you know, a backdrop, that this is the Lutz's family's pretty much their documentations of what they claim happened when they were residing in this home. And, you know, it's been said that later on down the line, they just tried to come up with a very crazy story, write a book about it, sell the novel, make it into a film so they could get some money because of their financial woes. And, you know, they're pretty much a come up. But fact of the matter is this: if that stuff did really happen, then I would be on the first thing smoking out the house too. You know, I wouldn't want to be in the house, broke or not. You know what I'm saying? I'll just drop the bag for the house, or got something I can afford. If all this crazy stuff is happening, you don't want to be in there. And it's wild because the filmmakers, they actually really wanted to film in the real house in Long Island, but the current owners wanted no parts of it. They were not going to allow their house be displayed in that fashion and have that negative connotation wrapped around it. So they ended up filming in a home that looked exactly like it in New Jersey. But apparent, from what I understand, the house still stands in Long Island. You can still go check it out. No, I would.
Pretty sure people pull up and take selfies and shit, like, you know, to this day. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So my next one is also of the horror genre, and this one is kind of an interesting film, man. This is one of the films I think still holds up in the creepy factor, man. And I'm going to be talking about The Serpent and the Rainbow from 1988. And this is one of Wes Craven's best, in my opinion, man. Just, you know, as far as atmosphere and storytelling. But in this film, the real life aspect of it, you know, there was this author who put out a book of the same title, and he went to Haiti to examine this phenomenon of people being turned to zombies. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't know Haiti is one of the regions where the mythology of the zombie first emerged. I think one of the first films about it might be called A White Zombie or something like that. But essentially he was studying, you know, the locals, and, you know, there is a big, you know, kind of a shaman, you know what I'm saying, dark priest kind of culture going on there, you know, built around the voodoo religion. And so he was going around and talking to local, you know, practitioners, trying to find out the source of this myth to see if it was a reality or what. Because there was a man who had emerged. This was a story that was popular. And he said it was a guy that was buried before. And 3 days later, he shows up, kind of just done, like it's in a mindless state. You know, his brain is all jacked up. So, you know, this doctor poking around, what he tends to discover, there's some controversy around this if it was accurate, but some of the concoctions that these priests were giving to some of these guys would induce a state that was similar to death. Like it was low enough to make your pulse rate pretty much undetectable. And a lot of people got buried like this, only to pop up days later or wake up in a morgue or whatever. And whatever was given to them also kind of left them in this comatose state sometimes, So this film is based around that. In this film, Bill Pullman's character is the same guy that was in this book, in this study, and he goes to Haiti to investigate this and find out what's going on. And I think what's great about this film is that the reality of it is so, like it's pretty much straight from the book. But the liberties that are taken are only to enhance the terror. And you didn't really have to take a lot of liberties. What's crazy enough, there was political turmoil in Haiti to the point where the film production was shut down at one point, and they were told, yo, we can't guarantee your safety. This is the government telling them as they're filming this film, so they decide to finish filming in neighboring Dominican Republic. But what makes this thing so terrifying is the liberties they took to sprinkle this thing with that suspense and terror, and I contributed that to Wes Craven, and it wasn't really hard, man. Like I said, this stuff is dark. A lot of people don't want to deal with things of the dead. We were talking about on the episode of Phantasm how just even being in a morgue around dead bodies is creepy. So it plays into that, and it's cool, man. There's a lot of science going on in here too, which I praise. It's not all just this supernatural. The supernatural fear is stuff that we bring to the table, our own baggage, that makes us creep out. But he's really approaching it from a scientific background, and we see the story about the pufferfish toxin. That, if you give the right amount to people mixed with something, it doesn't kill them, but it can induce this death-like state to possibly get you buried alive, which is already another fear. And that's another thing that this thing plays on, too. The idea of waking up and being in the ground, clawing at your own coffin, unable to... That's fucking terrifying, bro.
Yeah,
but I think this thing holds up. It's one of the best horror films that's based on true events. That's not just... Well, I think based on true story and based on true events are way different. True stories when things like this, like Serpent and the Rainbow. True events is like you heard about some guy in the woods, a tree falling on him, and he had his chop his arm off, and then you go make something like 127 hours, which is similar, but it's not the same exact story. It's not the same guy. It's just inspired by. I think that's what they should start saying.
Taking a small piece of something and then making some big, large, extravagant situation out of it. Yeah.
So the liberties taken here are just, for me, I think more just the atmosphere and adding in that government turmoil, the political stuff, which was real stuff, but he mixed it into this really true story that already existed out there, man. So this is one of my favorite ones, man. Definitely.
Nice.
Serpent and the Rainbow.
There we go.
88.
Man, let me tell y'all something. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. So saying that to say this, I'm bringing up 1990's Goodfellas, directed by Martin Scorsese, based on the novel Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi? I don't know if I said his name right. I don't know. Nobody come looking for me, messing his name up. But believe, there you go. Yeah, Pileggi, there you go. But
what I got gabagool on that?
So what is great about this film is, there's many things that are great about this film, but what it did was it glorified the gangster lifestyle in every way. This is one of those ones where you watch it and you almost aspire to want to live this lifestyle, because when this film first starts, it's showing all of the glamour and the glitz of it. Like you get the special treatment, you get the big cars, the nice clothes, the women, the money, the respect, you know what I mean? And what's really cool about how this film is navigated through is it is being told through the eyes of Henry Hill, navigated through his life experience, narrated by him, as he is telling us about his life experiences as, pretty much a gangster affiliated with the mob. And, all of his exploits and the things that he did while running with these mob figures. And, like I said, what starts off good and great, nothing that's good lasts forever. So we see that, in the early stages of mob life, and especially at the time that this was taking place, extortion was the cash cow for them, stealing, extorting, and selling back the goods. It was and pretty much just bullying their way through the world was how they made their money. And they made it seem seamless. They made it seem easy and
made it seem like people wasn't getting hurt in the process for a lot of this.
Exactly.
That's the crazy part to me.
Or at least they weren't getting hurt.
From their perspective, it wasn't that big a deal.
Yes, no. It's like, hey man, if you ain't part of the family, so who cares what happens to you?
Bones healed, it's a couple stitches.
Yeah, no big nothing. Deal. I got shot in the knee, you know what I'm saying? Or in Spider's case, got shot in the foot, poor guy, But the thing of it is like, as we're watching all of this happen, it's really cool because, we also get introduced to all these other characters. We have Jimmy Conway, who's played by Robert De Niro. You got Tommy DeVito, played by Joe Pesci. You got Big Paulie, played by Paul Sorvino. A plethora of these mob characters. And you're just watching them all do their dirt in a way where they stay clean. And it's really, really cool to see that. But then what also brings this film back to reality and lets you know that, when shit hits the fan, it splatters, is when you start to see the negative side of things. People that you care about are starting to die, or that, if you do get caught, you have to do a bid that everybody that rubs elbows with you and tells you they always got your back, turn their back on you, and your family is left to struggle and starve. You might have to start digging into other endeavors to provide for your family or for your loved ones. And then, when you get out, you're expected to just stop, drop, and roll and get back in line and follow these rules. Because the thing about the mob life is it's all about the rules. You follow the rules. They are put in place by people for a reason. And if you break those rules, you will get dealt with. And this film, it shows us that in every way, from the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And it does it gracefully. Like I said, after you watch this film, you want to go to the K&G or something, go get a suit and some hard bottoms and go out and be like, yeah, what's up? I'm feeling kind of gangsterish today. You know what I mean? This film is just a movie that has so much bad, stuff going on shouldn't make people feel so good when they watch it, but this film does that.
I think you don't get to experience that bad without seeing the good stuff that these guys are getting on their way up, and essentially things are running pretty good. They're stable. It's not too far to line your daily job. You're collecting money. You might have to bust somebody in the head here and there, but when they pulled that Lufthansa heist, and it just got so much attention and brought the feds in, that was kind of their moment of going too close to the sun. Like the feds, then we gotta do something,
and they crumbled.
We gotta, this ain't petty stuff no more. This is real, and seeing the public seeing you guys get away with that, that's just going to embolden other criminal franchises. So they had to put the foot on them, They had to go after these guys. And it's also so hard, and it also raised the stakes of being a gangster.
Yeah,
because then all of a sudden they're whacking each other, just trying to stay, make sure all their loose ends are cut. You know what I'm saying?
And the Lufthansa heist, it overinflated all of their egos. Now they were giants amongst mere mortals. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And another thing I love about this film is all the quotables. My favorite being "Fuck you, pay me." Mm-hmm. So man, Goodfellas, man, 1990, man, that is one hell of a good film. Feels good to be a good fella.
Yeah, folks, man. Yeah, that's what's up, man. I think that's it for today. We're gonna catch y'all next time, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. Buy some merch to support us. We got everything from stickers to hoodies. We got wall art. We got all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna start adding more stuff too, man. Maybe I'll come up with some movie related designs, related to some of these, fan art kind of stuff, so to speak, related to some of these films that we're talking about to put in the store for you guys to buy as well. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody you know about us, man. That's to help us grow. Leave a comment on the video if you like what you're seeing here. Even if you don't like what you're seeing and you don't agree, man, that helps us too. And that's it, man. Catch us at Classes of Cinematics on Instagram. You can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. As always, you can catch me on this platform or catch me on our other film review show.
All right, y'all. Deuces.